Guard, ho! Guard, low, march! Guard, ho! Guard, outwards, turn. Guard, rest on arms, reverse.
Welcome. Today we commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Villers-Bretonneux. Cairns RSL acknowledges and pays respects to the past and present traditional owners of this beautiful place on which we stand. Morning Gimwai Wallabara Yidinji and Yiraganji. This morning we are gathered here to pay homage to all the men and women who have served in defence, whose supreme sacrifice has contributed to the success of Australia being a free country among our community of nations. These are the men and women who, without hesitation, willingly wrote a blank cheque made payable to Australia for an amount up to and including his or her life. They showed courage, selflessness, resilience in proudly defending our country for the safety and freedom of others. This is the Anzac spirit. The same spirit that has been handed down through the generations of Australian defence personnel since World War I. That same spirit is alive now in the diverse group of veterans gathered here before us today. We also pause to acknowledge all current and former serving members of our Defence Forces, the brave men and women who represent our country on a daily basis. At this very moment, there are 1,804 defence personnel deployed across 8 different operations in various theatres around the world. That means there is nearly 2,000 families that are waiting for their family member to come home as I speak. Sadly, coming home is not a guaranteed luxury for these brave men and women. Since 2001, 42 Australians have lost their lives and 241 have been wounded as a result of combat in Afghanistan. Sadly, to this day, only physical wounds are included in the official casualty statistics. No Australian is left untouched when a member of our defence family is killed or wounded in action. It is difficult to comprehend the grief and loss associated with losing a partner, a parent, a sibling, or upon them returning home with unseen wounds that will still be present long after the conflict has ended. Those that have returned home with these psychological scars walk among us. We must not forget today's veterans, the young men and women who are returning from duty in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. We have seen them serve with courage, self-reliance and resilience and proud mateship. These same qualities that were showcased on the battlefields of Villers-Bretonneux 100 years ago today. They earned the Aussies and the Kiwis the Anzac name, a title bestowed upon them by Allied Forces Command, a title that will forevermore echo greatness. We have the ability to face challenges together and overcome them, to put community before oneself, to be courageous, determined, self-reliant and strong. We should be proud of our heritage. This is the spirit of Anzac, the spirit that we must pass on for generations to come. I will now introduce Chaplain Ian Lindsay from HMAS Cairns to give the dedication of service. Chaplain.
Friends, as we are gathered here in the sight of God as loyal citizens of Australia, we do so to honour the memory of those who have made the supreme sacrifice while serving our great nation in time of war or peacekeeping operations. As we stand at this hour, let us offer our thanks to God for the remembrance of this and the sacrifices made by the original Anzacs and the countless others before and since them. And for the countless blessings granted to our people in peace and war. Let us give thanks for our democratic system of government and pray that God may continue to bless us with the freedom and peace we experience day by day. But finally, let us dedicate ourselves to serve others as faithfully as those who have gone before us. Let us be forever conscious of God's presence with us at this hour and always. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. I would like to now welcome Major David Hopgood of the 51st Battalion, Far North Queensland Regiment, to give the official address. Major.
This morning we honour the men and women who embody the very best qualities of humanity. Selflessness, disciplined and tenacious Australian soldiers won a strategically significant battle of Villers-Bretonneux on the 25th of April 1918. The 51st Battalion, originally raised predominantly by men from Western Australia, now located here in Cairns, was part of that battle. They helped stop the German offensive and hasten victory for the Allies to restore peace in Europe and for the wider world. It's hard to rationalise now that the region in France where the battle was fought, today so sombre yet serene, could have once been the scene of a ferocious battle recognised as one of the great Australian victories in the First World War. No longer the fresh, perhaps naive boys of the Anzac landing 3 years before. The Australian Imperial Force of 1918 was battle-hardened, canny and fiercely brave. One British officer, Brigadier General Grogan, called the victory at Villers-Bretonneux perhaps the greatest individual feat of the war. A British gunner wrote of the Australians held the line and never was the line held better. Villers Bretna was held intact by an army of great-hearted men who were afraid of nothing on earth. I and the rest of us made friends forever of the loose-belted Aussies. Villers Bretna was part of the crucial transition during the First World War when Australia came of age. Sergeant Charles Stokes and Lieutenant Clifford Sadlier, both from Western Australia, were awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal and Victoria Cross, respectively, for their bravery and leadership during the Second Battle of Villers Bretna. Sergeant Stokes led a section of bombers, the soldiers with grenades, against enemy machine gun positions and succeeding in putting 2 of the guns out of action and killing the crews. All of Sergeant Stokes' section become casualties, and then finding another machine gun in action, Sergeant Stokes went forward and, using his rifle, attacked in single-handed killing and wounding the crew and capturing the gun. The company was then able to continue the advance. Lieutenant Sadlier's citation of VC was very similar. For conspicuous bravery during a counterattack by his battalion on strong enemy positions, Lieutenant Sadlier's platoon, which was one on the left of the battalion, had to advance through a wood where a strong enemy machine gun post caused casualties and prevented the platoon from advancing. Although he was wounded, he collected his bombing section, led them against the machine guns and succeeded in killing the crews and capturing 2 guns. By this time, Lieutenant Sadlier's party were all casualties, and he alone attacked a 3rd enemy machine gun with his revolver, killing the crew of 4 and taking the gun. In doing so, he was again wounded. The very gallant conduct of this officer and the means of clearing the flank and allowing the battalion to move forward, thereby saving a most critical situation. This was a turning point of battles of the Western Front as young Australians distinguished themselves in the defence of France and the defence of freedom. Today, on the 100th anniversary of this deed, the 51st Battalion colours will be flown in France as part of the official commemorations that will occur. But we should also remember those who fought in earlier battles in the Somme offensive, such as Pozières and Fromelles. These names and the long and bloody roll call of conflicts that helped forge the spirit and identity of the Australian nation. Today, we have reason to be proud of what all those Australians achieved a century ago and of the bravery and courage they showed. The individual experience of each soldier contributes to the greatest story of the whole, of what happened on the Western Front and the battlefields of Turkey and the enormous sacrifices that were made in our nation's name. The loss of more than 60,000 Australians' lives in the World War I from a total population of less than 5 million meant that few, if any, Australians were left untouched by the scourge of war. Yet the war was no less than the crucible that forged modern Australia. Over the 4 years of the First World War, Australia made increasingly important contribution to the Allied cause. At the end of the war, Prime Minister Billy Hughes confirmed Australia's emerging sense of independence and nationhood by ensuring Australia signed the Paris Peace Treaty in its own right rather than a member of the British Empire. For those who survived, the contribution they made to the growth of our nation, our community, our culture and economy was immeasurable. Returned soldiers made their mark in all walks of Australian post-war life, in politics, business, professions, trades and in the military. Many returned home to resume their lives of work and family, even though they bore the scars of their wartime service in body, mind and soul. We remember too that thousands of Australian women gave service in countless diverse roles. This morning we pay homage to those who survived the war and contributed to the success of Australia as a peace-loving country amongst the community of nations. We pay tribute to those who died on these bright fields. Thousands of young Australian men lie forever buried in French soil, but we know they lie in the care of friends. They'll never be forgotten.
Thank you, Major David Hopgood. Please be upstanding for the recessional hymn. The hymn will be played by the Cairns Brass and by St Monica's and St Augustine's Choir. The words are in your program and I encourage you all to sing along. Thank you, Cairns Brass and the combined choirs. Parade at ease. Official wreaths will now be placed in memory of all those who have fought and died in times of war. Later in the service, there will be an opportunity for others to present and lay wreaths or tributes. On behalf of the community of Cairns and the sub-branch community, I invite Mr. Buster Todd, President of the Cairns RSL sub-branch, and Mayor Bob Manning of Cairns Regional Council to place their wreaths. On behalf of the Armed Forces Australia, I invite Commander Dave Hanna and Command Warrant Officer Mike Burrows of HMAS Cairns, Major David Hopgood, 51st Battalion, Far North Queensland Regiment, and Warrant Officer James Philcock, RAAS, to place their wreaths. On behalf of the War Widows of the Cairns community, I invite Helen Hetfield, President of the War Widows Guild, and Mr. Alan Piccone, President of the Cairns Legacy Club, Mr. Alan Piccone to place their wreaths. We are now honoured to welcome members of our community organisations and ex-service organisations to place wreaths. The Honourable Warren Ench. Correction, the youth of Cairns will lay their wreaths. The Honourable Warren Ench, MP, Federal Member for Leichhardt, on behalf of the Leichhardt and Joint Select Committee on Northern Australia. Michael Healy, MP, on behalf of Queensland Parliament. Councillor Richie Bates, on behalf of the Division 5 Cairns Regional Sub. Justice James Henry of the Supreme Court of Queensland and Judge Dean Morzone, QC of the District Court, representing the Cairns Judiciary. District Grand Master R.W. Brother Henry Condon and District Grand Officers of the District Grand Lodge of Carpentaria. Assistant Commissioner Michelle Baxter and Cairns Operations Centre Manager Brina Keating on behalf of the Queensland Ambulance Service. Acting Chief Superintendent Jeff Sheldon on behalf of the North Queensland and Cairns Police Services, Superintendent Mandy Sinclair on behalf of the Australian Border Force. Marion Hayton on behalf of the Cairns and District Ex-Service Women's Sub-Branch. Helen Atfield on behalf of the Legacy Laurel Club Cairns. President Mark Dillon on behalf of the 51st Battalion Association. Stan Carswell on behalf of the Papua New Guinea Volunteer Rifles. Ted Mears on behalf of the TPI Association, Edward Spanner on behalf of 35 Squadron, Wallaby Airlines and Vietnam, Peter Linoy, Philip Bowie on behalf of the Indigenous Service Personnel, Fred Cave on behalf of the National Service Association of Australia. Warren also Douglas Newman on behalf of the Catalina Association, David Goggin on behalf of the RAAF Association, Cairns Branch President, and Mr Ralph Garadinji on behalf of RAAF Korea, Malaya and Borneo. Colin Botany on behalf of the HMAS West Australia. Brian Miller and Brian Edmonds on behalf of the Royal New Zealand Return Service Association. John Auger on behalf of the RAF and RAF Association UK, and Mr Anthony Brainbridge on behalf of RNZAF, and his uncle, Pilot Officer Justin Callagher on behalf of 104 Squadron, Cadet Petty Officer Tisaro and Cadet Petty Officer Lachlan Hewlin on behalf of TS Endeavour Navy Cadets. Descendants of Cecilia Marie Cochrane on behalf of the late Cairns Cenotaph Honour Roll Soldier F.J. Cochrane, killed in action, World War I. Marvin Ali Mudridge on behalf of the late Corporal Matthew Hopkins, killed in action, March 2009, Tarankau, Afghanistan. The Weinberg family on behalf of Monty Joseph Brincat, Sylvia Schuster in memory of Felix Grasso, Christian Cameron and Joanne Savakis on behalf of F. Furley. College captains Bailey Roos, Sophie Reynolds and Maggie Slater on behalf of St Andrews Catholic College. School captain Brendan Pacey, Montana Paul on behalf of St Mary's Catholic College. College captains Carly Aylett, David Hasbrook and vice captains Jessica Parker and Colin Yu on behalf of the Peace Lutheran College. School vice captain Dylan Kimber on behalf of Gordon Vale State High School. School captains Luke Robertson and Katie Suppler on behalf of Trinity Anglican School. Simone Genovese and Anastasia Weinberg on behalf of Cairns School of Distance Education. College captain Toby Ellison and vice captain Patrick Inavatu on behalf of St Augustine's College. Executive Principal Tony Fuller and college captains Kate McNamara and Copper Nencrow, vice captains Zale Slattery and Harrison Strope on behalf of Redlynch College. Zara Sears, Jeff Cook, Oliver Gajaska, Priscilla Brunette Ross on behalf of St Joseph's Primary School. Principal Martin Woodcock, junior school captains Robert Collier and senior captains Rainer Batchhilder, Alice Manfield and Ruby Mitchell on behalf of the Trinity Bay State High School. College captains Dominic Bradford and Mitchell Woikes on behalf of Bentley Park State College. College captains Zara Shuvin Hartman and Emma Palmer on behalf of St Monica's College, Cairns. Eliza Gregg, Ula Clark, Miles Whip, Harrison Follen and Ian Medrano on behalf of St Francis Xavier's Primary School. Stella Tremaine, Alexis Stephanus on behalf of St John's Baptist Greek Orthodox Language School. Deirdre Porter and Joyce Dottolo on behalf of Warrie State High School. Debbie Ann Bender and Nick Lucas on behalf of Cairns Chamber of Commerce. Trent Toomey on behalf of Advanced Cairns. Mike Libke on behalf of Cairns RSL Club. Dana Dalmont on behalf of White Lady Funerals. Katie Minto on behalf of Birkins Svensson Funerals. Rachel Davey, Vary Davey on behalf of the Cairns Barrier Reef Lions Club. Tom Quinn, Nathan Pullen on behalf of Surf Fly Saving North Queensland branch. Aki Mazza on behalf of Clontarf. Craig Blackburn on behalf of Cape York Health Council. Farah Khan, Akwad Abdul Allah on behalf of the Muslim community. Anyone else wishing to place a wreath may do so now. That concludes our wreath placing. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the reciting of the ode by Cairns State High School captains Mia Walsh, Pane Gulati, followed by the last post, and then 1 minute silence.
Guard. Ho!
They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not worry them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Guard. General salute. Set. Arms.
lest we forget.
Yard. Ho.
Now invite Chaplain Ian Lindsay for the final blessing.
As we depart this place, let us go forth into the world in peace. Let us be of good courage. Let us hold fast that which is good and render to no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the afflicted, honour every person, love and serve the Lord, rejoicing in the power of the Holy Spirit. And may the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon us and remain with us always. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthems.
Guard. General salute. Set. On.
Amen.
Yard. Ho.
Parade at ease. A Cairns tradition is handing of the torch representing the spirit of Anzac by one of the older Cairns RSL sub-branch veterans to the youngest serving member. The torch symbolises a trust created by the sacrifices and passes that trust, passes that trust to the future serving men and women of Australia. Now introduce Carol Mills, the oldest female sub-branch member and veteran, to pass the torch to the youngest serving member, Seaman Samuel Wachner from HMAS Cairns.
Take up our quarrel against the foe. From these failing hands, I throw you the torch. Be it yours now to hold it high.
Fear not that you have died for naught. The torch you threw to us we caught, and now our hands will hold it high. Its glorious light shall never die. Will not break faith with you who lie on many a field.
Thank you, Carol Mills and Seaman Wachner. Parade, please be upstanding whilst the Catafalque party dismounts.
Yard. Inwards. Turn. Yard. Quick. March.
Thank you all for attending the 100th commemoration of the Battle of Villers-Bretonneux. Lest we forget. That concludes our dawn service. The next official service will be the ecumenical service, which will begin at St Monica's at 8:15 a.m. Transport will be available from the front of the RSL Club for aged and disabled veterans. Following that, the march will form up at Fogarty Park at 9:30 a.m. sharp and will step off at 10 a.m. en route to Munro Martin Park, where you're invited to stay for the public commemoration and Veterans Parade from 10:30 a.m. All veterans are now invited to attend Anzac breakfast at the RSL Club, and I wish you all a good day. Thank you.
We do not know this Australian's name, and we never will. We do not know his rank or his battalion. He may have been one of those who believed the Great War would be an adventure too grand to miss. He may have felt that he would never live down the shame of not going. The unknown soldier honours the memory of all those men and women who laid down their lives for Australia. We've lost more than 100,000 lives, but we've gained a legend and a deeper understanding of what it means to be Australian.
He's a drover drifting over western plains. He's a city lad, a clock down Flinders Lane. They're in the trenches at Lone Pine, and on the Flanders Fire